So I'll go back through this, and then, yeah, I'm out, bro. I got a res at 8:15. Um, I'm gonna go quickly back through this, okay, and then I'll call it a day, okay. So this stream, it's not about anybody in particular. It was just, I've seen some stuff going on lately, people downplaying themselves, people being upset about the game. So keep that in mind. This is just like general advice for everybody in that 9th place to 0-2 range. We'll hit it later, man. Also, Mashfest, and honestly, Type Lumina as a whole is extremely top heavy. As you can see, I mean, the fucking, what's it called, is all fucked up now, but as you can see, bro, like, the people that enter these events, these are both round 2s of random Mashfest. Like, we got fucking Blazesnake Made in Heaven in a round 2 of a Mashfest. Like, you are going to lose to people early, and your score is going to look like shit because everyone that plays the game that enters these tournaments is really fucking good. So if you're newer or if you're trying to learn, keep that in mind, right? Temper your expectations because the scene is very top heavy. This is just sort of general advice on questions to ask yourself when you're talking about your improvement. This is not for people who just boot up the game and are sick as fuck. Okay, this is just for regular people who play the game. Ask yourself, what do you think about / what is your goal when you play casual sets? Okay, the answer should be, if you're trying to be the best that you can be, is casual sets are for practice. The second thing to ask yourself in that vein is, are you getting mad at your opponent or the game or the netcode when you play casuals? If so, that's a problem with your mental, right? If casuals are really for practice, then you shouldn't be getting mad at the things that you can't control, right? You should just get mad at the things that you can control and then go take them back and improve on them. Bane is the opposite audience for this. The next thing to ask yourself, how long are the sets that you ping for? Whether they're 5, 10, 7, infinite. Having a actual set like idea of what you're going into when you're playing casuals on that day is really fucking important. If you're trying to work on, quicker adaptations and really trying to narrow down specific things, shorter sets are better for that. If you're trying to really draw it out, longer sets are better for that. I would always cap it at 10. I think playing anything more than 10 is for fun. Your brain just loses it after that. And think about for yourself, at what point do you stop functioning mentally? And at that point, you should stop, right? You shouldn't just keep playing whatever because, I'm going to improve if I play a first to 40. No. Like, at some point, you're not learning anything. You're just fucking slamming your face into the wall. The last thing to consider is how much of the game you actually watch. Whether that be yourself, North American gameplay, Japanese gameplay. If it's Japanese gameplay, you got to make sure that you know that all the skills that you're seeing in Japanese gameplay are not transferable to the NA game plan. You can try to make them work, but I think you're going to have a lot harder time than just watching players in NA. As you get better, you can gain more value from watching Japanese players. Also, watching gameplay is not about tech in general. You can go into it with that sort of thought process. That's fine. But that's generally not what you should be looking for. You have to be looking for game state interactions and character-specific matchup things. You got to go into watching the game thinking about your gameplay in a broader sense. Usually the things that stand out most to you in your own gameplay when you're playing are not the things that cause you to lose. So if you boot up a game and you're like, oh my god, my Oki keeps getting DP'd, that's not why you lost. It's part of it, but it's not the main reason you lost. Like, you're getting hit other times, you're getting smoked in neutral, you're getting set played to death. There's a lot of things going on in the game that is causing you to lose, and whatever stuck out in your head that pissed you off the most was not the reason. If you watch yourself and you're like, oh, I can't watch myself, it's cringe, that's the fucking point. You should be cringing when you watch yourself because that means that you know that there are things that you have to improve on. So if you're watching yourself, you're like, this fuck cringe, I hate doing this. Jaycom, why are you telling me to watch myself? I fucking hate it. That's the fucking point. If that is really too hard for you, you do not want to improve. Next, tournament setting. What is your goal when entering a Mash Fest? Mash Fest is synonymous with every other tournament that you enter. What is your goal when entering? Sorry, Steve. If you want to improve, gotta get on it. What is your goal when entering X tournament? We're using Mash Fest for this example. Below I have I guess I can now have my 7-step plan to top 8 a Mash Fest. If you do this repeatedly, eventually you will top 8 a Mash Fest. I can guarantee it. I'll put my fucking seal on it. Set a goal. That's a tournament some amount of time down the line that you want to do well in. Step 2, practice tournaments leading up to that. Every single tournament up to the one that is your goal tournament is just for practice. You're working on tournament nerves. You're working on closing out games, right? That's super important. You're learning how to find ways to win. Whenever I played sports and when I was a coach, that was one of my biggest things to say when we were down or we were going into a game that we were kind of in a rough spot to win. I was like, good teams, they find ways to win, and that's it. It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. The best team finds a way to win. After the tournament is concluded, you went 1-2, 2-2, 0-2, whatever the fuck it was. Evaluate that post-tourney mental. So how do you feel? Are you angry? Are you mad at yourself? Are you mad at your opponents? Are you mad at the net code? What is going on? How do you feel? And then you got to step back and think, what is healthy for me to be feeling and what is unhealthy for me to be feeling? And you got to try and work to play in more tournaments to sort of evacuate the bad feelings that you get after you play, so that it makes you want to continue playing the game in a healthy way. Step 4, chill the fuck out. After you've entered a tournament, you got to just chill the fuck out, man. You got to go lay down. You got to just hang out, whatever. Rage queuing after you've gone 1-2 and you feel like this is bullshit. You did not do either one of these steps if you are rage queuing after Melty Blood tournament. I'm telling you, you've missed 2 of the steps. If I see you fucking queuing after this, you have missed the mark here. Step 5, some amount of time after you've chilled the fuck out, watch the tournament. It can either be yourself, like your own, like the games that you played in, or it could be the tournament as a whole. I like doing that because it kind of immerses me into the gameplay, and I get an ego boost hearing commentators talk about me and seeing chat tell me that I'm sick. Step 6, practice what you thought about whilst you were watching the tournament back. That can either be in training mode or in a match. We talked about earlier, this game is very, very kind of, whatever. I will go into that at the very end, Phantom. This game is very fast and the interactions are very, match specific. So working on things in the match is very important. And then finally, repeat practicing in the tournament, and then the 4 steps that follow on repeat until your goal. And then once you hit your goal tournament, you'll play in it. You'll try and do the best that you can. It's no longer practice mode, it's real tournament mode, and then you can go and see the progress that you've made. If you haven't made progress and you go 0-2 and you actually followed this, especially these 2, if you followed this exactly, including step 2, 3, and 4, and I'll know if you didn't, and you don't meet your goal as long as it was reasonable. Sorry. Oh, I don't know how to spell. As long as it was reasonable and you followed step 3 and 4, if you don't meet your reasonable goal after doing this, come back to me and I will help you specifically for as long as it takes for you to reach that goal. Because I believe in this that much. This is what motherfuckers actually do. Y'all can read that. You know that every person that be going 1-2, 0-2 in this thing does this shit. Peace. Thank you for hanging out. I also have to go, but, anything for this community at any time. Last, players almost in the top 8 tier. Ask actual questions. This actually works for everybody. All you got to do is ask legitimate questions. Any advice is not good enough if you haven't prompted the person you're playing first. It's a little bit more helpful if you're playing people of the same skill level. Ask specific things. It can be at any point in time after you've watched the set or at least thought about it some more. It doesn't have to be, like, these people don't go anywhere, right? Like, nobody's going to just vanish off the face of the earth. I mean, maybe they will, but then just ask somebody else. But, like, nobody's going to just fucking be gone, You can ask at another point. Top players just make shit up if you ask them any advice. Not all of them. Some of them do have great advice if you say any advice, but most of them are saying random shit like me. Um, Also, any advice that you get from asking any advice probably is not the actual reason that you're not improving. That's just the interaction that stood out most to the person that you were playing against, right? So it's like, oh, your shield RPS is mid. Probably, but that's not the reason that you lost. So, as an example of how to improve after you've decided, okay, I'm going to ask an actual question. I've used the, for instance, how should Alco move around the screen against Wark? Because Alco needs to utilize her movement. Don't just internalize the answer, right? You have to actually think about why it is that they're telling you that, and then take it into the game and actually implement the things that you've thought about, okay? And it might not work the first time, but you don't have to get mad. Like, you just keep working on it until you've got it down, right? There's an execution component. There's a mental component. There's a lot of things that go into this, okay? So, that is how you improve it. Type Lumina. Just to touch on Phantom's point before I go, I think breaks are good for certain types of people. There are people who take things that they're interested in and blow them up 100 times, right? They're like, oh, I'm doing this thing. I'm going to dedicate every second of my life to it. That's all that I'm going to do. And at some point, you'll hit a plateau doing that, right? Because you'll hit rapid improvement and then you'll plateau because just putting in extra time is not enough, right? You have to put in valuable time. So at some point, you're going to get burned out. And once you get burned out, you're not going to improve anymore. So then a break is great for that. You come back and look at the game with fresh eyes. It's really helpful. For other people, that might not be the case. For people like me, I play a very controlled amount, and I play within the means of my lifestyle. So I never exceed the amount that I allot myself to play, which makes a break for me kind of pointless because every day I take a break, right? The game, my life's not about the game from, the times that I'm with my girl, the times that I'm with my friends, or the times that I'm doing this, that, or the other thing, or at the weekend. So I don't need a break because I sprinkle a break into my practice at all times. But if you're that type of person that's like, this is the only thing that I want to do in my life right now, then at some point you're going to hit a plateau and you'll know because things that we've talked about today will stop working. And then the answer will be, you got to take a break. Okay? So that is all that I've got. That is my opinion on how to improve a multi-blood type Lumina. I hope that you have found this to help you or provided some insight as to why you're not improving. This game is really fucking hard. Please keep that in mind. But everybody who plays, from the person who goes 0-2 to the person who wins every single tournament, you got everyone involved is what makes this game alive and what gives it a community. So everybody's important, and I just want to help anybody to improve that I can. So that's all I've got. Thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate it thoroughly. Enjoy MashFest. It's going to be a good one. I'm going to gorge myself. So goodbye.